said to his disciples, "I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. For he will speak not on his own, but he will speak whatever he hears, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. He will glorify me, because he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All the Father has is mine. For this reason I said that he will take what is mine and declare it to you." The Gospel of the Lord. If I asked you, when was the last time you thought about the doctrine of the Trinity, my guess is your answer would be not in a very long time. It might even be never. And those would be good and true answers because it's not something that anybody thinks about on a daily basis. While I cannot speak for Pastor McGuire, I do know that for me, the subject rarely comes up. And the only time I think about matters Trinitarian is 1 week out of the year. It occupies my mind for about 4 to 5 days before Trinity Sunday. But once that's over and the sermon is preached, the concept, convoluted as it is, of the Trinity is put back on the shelf for a while until, much to my amazement, the subject comes up in conversation. Surprisingly, the subject comes up a great deal at the resort I stay in Palm Springs, where I have met more than a few members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. Technically, most of these guys would be Jack Mormons, or people who no longer practice the faith. But even after years away from their church and its teachings, have a hard time getting their mind around the concept of the Trinity. This came out best, as things like this usually do, over pizza and beer one night, when a good chap said, "I have no problem wrapping my mind around the concept of God being the creator. But I have a harder time relating the Creator God, as he would say, the Father God, to Jesus." I wisely replied. Usually it's the other way around. As is my way, I pondered my friend's problem for a while, until it dawned on me. That is the beauty of God. That is the essence of the Trinity. It's God coming to us in ways to which we can best relate. Creator, who hasn't been moved in the moments of life that we have taken in the grandeur of creation. See the Grand Canyon for the first time, and chills will run up and down your spine. When I lay in the pool and look at the mountains that surround Palm Springs, I'm overwhelmed at the glory of creation. Watch a thunderstorm roll across a lake, or get away from the city and look at the stars, and you'll experience the grandeur of God. People who are attuned to such things can even see this in the simple as well. A friend of mine wrote on his Facebook page just this week, "Just walking the dogs under the half moon in the dark around my neighborhood, with the rich, pungent, sweet smells of spring in the air. What a beautiful heavenly night." Everyone here, I hope, has had those moments when it seems as if God was in heaven and all was right with the world. But we all know that creation can be a fickle friend indeed, because along with those heavenly nights, there are the frightening moments. The tornado that rips through the Texas town, the hurricane that devastates the Gulf Coast or the Northeast and has those areas still rebuilding years after the storms have passed. The earthquake that levels whole villages, the tsunami that changes the maps of coastlands, the flash floods that wipe away low-lying regions. If you worship creation as your only God, you may find yourself worshiping a capricious God indeed. Which is why the church had to come to the conclusion that God was the creator. That not only the whole earth and all of its glory belonged to God, but that God's care also moved amid the chaos and the creation that this business of living on earth sometimes became. That God was working, even when it seemed like God's good creation was unraveling at the seams. Creation left to its own, this creation run amok. But creation in God's hands is creation that has a purpose. It points us, those who seek, to seek the Creator. That can be a long search, and sometimes it can be a scary one. The wonderful author, Madeleine L'Engle, tells the story about staying up very late one night with her daughter during a particularly violent thunderstorm. There were almost continual flashes of lightning and booms of thunder. L'Engle was growing weary and desperately wanted to go to bed, because for her at least, the worst of the storm was over. Her daughter begged her mom to stay up with her. And then L'Engle said she heard herself try to weasel her way out of the room with the words, "That's okay, honey. God is with you." To which her daughter replied, "Yes, but I need somebody with a little flesh on them." That's Jesus. He is God in the flesh. And we believe that in him God became one of us, joined us in our nature and our lot. And because of him, we know that there is nowhere we can go that God has not gone before. Reflecting on what her daughter said later, L'Engle wrote, "I will have nothing to do with a God who cares only occasionally. I need a God who is with us always, everywhere, in the deepest depths as well as the highest heights. It is when things go wrong, when good things do not happen, when our prayers seem to have been lost, that God is the most present. We do not need the sheltering wings when things go smoothly. We are closest to God in the darkness, stumbling behind blindly. We are closest to God in the darkness, stumbling behind blindly. The one we stumble behind is Jesus. And those moments, when the darkness seems to be closing in, it is the Spirit that helps us stay close to Him. The Spirit is probably the most misunderstood of the Trinity. We always expect from the Spirit what we had last Sunday when we celebrated Pentecost. The rush of the mighty winds, strange tongues, great excitement, pandemonium. I think it's a lot more simple than that. It is God's Spirit that keeps us following God. It's God's Spirit that reminds us in our highest highs and greatest triumphs that those moments would not be possible without God. It's also the Spirit that assures us in our darkest hour that God is near. It's the Spirit that's also most easy to experience when we come to church. And it's most often done in the people we meet. The wife of my first pastor that I worked with, Sharon Romberg, tells the story of accompanying Ted when he was trying to make a few extra bucks while attending Philadelphia Seminary in Pennsylvania by supply preaching. Sometimes he would be asked to preach at a parish full of good, solid Pennsylvania Germans. When I walked in and took my seat, Sharon said, they would stare at me as if I were from another planet. And nobody ever greeted me with any kind of warmth until they found out I was the wife of the preacher for the day. There was a spirit in those communities that said, outsiders are not welcome. But you and I have also been to churches where they acted like you were a long-lost relative who they've been longing to see for years. The Spirit is something you feel. It's something that keeps you faithful even when your faith is lagging. It is that which keeps you trying, even after the louder voices have told you to give up. It is that which connects you to God and keeps you connected. Now, while I sincerely doubt that anybody is going to saunter up to you during the next few days or months or even year and ask you what you thought about the Trinity, I do know that if they do, now you'll have something to tell them in one simple sentence. The Trinity teaches us that God comes to each and every individual in the way that they might relate to God the best. God comes to us in creation in all its glory, and there we can find God. But it's a hard task to look for God under every tree and leaf. So God came to us in Jesus, in the flesh, that we might better know God and that God might better know us. And the one who keeps us on our search is simply the Holy Spirit, who dwells within all of us, making our hearts restless until they have found their rest in God. God comes to us in the three persons of the Trinity. God, whom we name as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
may do God's will, working in you that which is pleasing in God's sight. Through Jesus Christ, who is the Father and the Holy Spirit, be all praise and glory, now and forever.
Empowered